Hello, class. Welcome back from spring break. And we're in week 12, technically week 11. But that means we only have 5 weeks left in this course. And for this week, we have 2 assignments that are due on Sunday. So let's go over them. So you can see that they're due March 27th. This other date down here, this is for any student that's on an accommodation. If you're on an accommodation, it's due April 10th. You'll notice on the schedule, the benchmark is on top and the CLC is on the bottom. So the benchmark is an individual paper. Now, as always, I'm okay if you work as a group together on these papers, but remember the benchmark must be submitted individually by each student. The CLC is a collaborative learning community assignment, so each team will submit one assignment as a team. Now, the benchmark actually builds upon your CLC. So let's look at the CLC first, and then we will go into the benchmark. So we'll do this by looking at the rubric. This is a 95-point paper. You can see it's asking for 1,250 to 1,500 words. So there's a lot of content in here. Again, I won't hold you strictly to the word count, but you do need to cover each item in here to get the full points. Best way to do this is to look at the rubric. What is the rubric asking for? Because the rubric is what we go by in grading. So benefits and challenges. To get full points, benefits and challenges of current organizational and operating structure demonstrate thorough critical research and analysis directly related to the firm. So you have to talk about prompt number 1, how does the current organizational and operational structure, so how is the business organized? How is its leadership structure organized? Does it have a pretty pyramid type hierarchy? Or is it more flat where a broad range of people collaborate in decisions? So figure that out. How does it do its corporate governance? And how does all that benefit the company? How does that same system, that same organizational and operational structure challenge the company's success? And what would you do to reverse those challenges to help them succeed? Then you have to talk about your strategic alliance. What are the benefits and risks of a potential strategic alliance? So you only have to talk about one. If in the previous assignment, one of your 3 strategic alternatives was a strategic alliance, you can choose that one. But how would a potential strategic alliance talk about the risks of it and the benefits of it? You have to look at both sides. You've always got to look at both sides in this. And that's a good way to begin to think about everything. What are the risks? What are the benefits? And then you can make an educated decision. Remember, I need references, not only on the reference page, but I need you to cite your references through the paper on this. Then you have to evaluate possible business level corporate strategies and how they're related to the firm. So the prompt, how might the firm utilize a business level cooperative strategy to create a competitive advantage? You can look in chapter 9 for some strategy ideas in this area. Answer these questions. How would it, which one of these is most likely to be of significant value to the company you're working with? Explain why. Try to support that with data. And what are the risks associated with the strategy and how might it be managed? You have to demonstrate that you've done good research on internal governance and give suggestions on how to improve performance. You'll have to discuss the relationship between strategy and structure. And we'll look at the questions in a moment. And then all of these are the regular areas. Remember, you have to document sources. You have to have a reference page. Use APA format, and that means that your papers are double spaced. I'm getting a lot of papers that are single spaced. They need to be double spaced. All right, so the other questions. Number 4, what internal governance mechanisms would you propose to monitor managers' decision-making? So look at how they do corporate governance internally. And what else can you think of that would help to monitor managers' decision-making? And remember, we're mostly thinking of top-level managers here, but you can also address mid and lower-level managers. And then section 11.2, chapter 11, section 2, states that strategy and structure have a reciprocal relationship. So that's that last prompt. Explain how it's true within your company that you're working on. And if it's not true, how could that be changed? So answer these questions, view the rubric, make sure you've addressed each one of these items, and you can use each one of these areas as your headings. So number 1, benefits and challenges. 2, strategic alliance, and on down until you get to strategy and structure. APA format, double spacing. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, then once you've got this squared away, we can move on up to the financial analysis assignment. This is only 75 points, and it's only a 750-word paper, so it's not long. It's only got 3 prompts here. Determine which of the ratios provide the most key insights into the firm's current level of performance. You can find the ratios in your book. If you pull up your book in MindTap and do a search for ratio, let's just walk through that. So where do we find our ratios? You can always Google them online, and there's many sites out there that will give you ideas. But we can go up to search this course. I'll just put in ratio and search. And it's this part right here, preparing an effective case analysis. That's where your ratios are going to be. And then as it comes up, we'll have to scroll down about halfway or so. So here's your ratios, Appendix 2. You've got profitability ratios, and it gives you 5 options here. You've got liquidity, leverage, activity ratios, and shareholders' return ratios. I want you to use one ratio from each of these categories. You have to show it on your paper with the numbers that you get from your research and actually do the calculation. So going back to the topic. So determine which of the ratios, one from each of those categories, provides the most key insight into the firm's current level of performance. How can you assess whether the results of your calculations are positive or negative? Answer that. And explain which of the ratios gives you the reason to be concerned about the organization's current strategy and why it causes you to be concerned. Then number 2, the organizational and operational plans assignment, which was our CLC, references the possible benefits and risks of forming a strategic alliance. What would be the risks of forming a strategic alliance in terms of the firm's profitability ratios? So take the strategic alliance that you discussed in the CLC and use the profitability ratios and figure out what would be the risks of that strategic alliance in terms of those profitability ratios. Look at the 5 profitability ratios and which one is most likely to reveal immediate information for analysis of the alliance's effectiveness. And then number 3, considering today's financial climate, how likely is it that the organization could acquire the capital necessary to support an aggressive value enhancement strategy? Do not tell me that the company has enough cash on hand. How would the company go outside to a lender, to selling more stock? How would it raise additional capital? And talk about how likely that would work for the amount of capital that would be needed. Look at current interest rates and what do you believe is a realistic interest rate the firm might incur? And then look at the liquidity ratios and which of the liquidity ratios will be impacted by the influx of capital if borrowed. Going to the rubric. Ratio calculations. This is an easy 11.25 points. 5 financial ratio calculations are completed and labeled. So all you have to do is have the ratios on your paper, calculated out and labeled, and you get those points. So nobody should miss those points. An organizational performance to get the 15 points here. Assessment of organizational performance based on the ratio calculations demonstrates insightful relevance to the firm's strategies, supported by an explanation of how the ratios contributed to such conclusions. So there's how you're going to be graded on this section. So please follow that. Risks, strategic alliance, you have to look at risks and benefits. Make sure you discuss both the risks and benefits of a strategic alliance. Think about it thoroughly, think about it critically, and connect it to the financial calculations. Use the financial calculations for your analysis here. Then for value enhancement capital, feasibility of obtaining capital to support a value enhancement strategy demonstrates thorough insight into the firm and shows clear and distinct connections to the financial ratio calculations. So 2 things here. First of all, you have to match the way that your company would obtain capital to ways that the company typically does business, that it would be meaningful to them. It's going to show me that you do know the company that you're analyzing. So think about that. If you're working on, say, Tesla, for example, or Southwest Airlines, how do those companies typically raise capital? Look at that and then begin to develop your strategy and tie it to the financial ratio calculations. Then again, all the normal things here. I'm going to repeat it again. You need sources. You need a reference page at the end. You need to cite your references throughout the paper. Use double spacing throughout the paper, even on your reference page. And again, due date, Sunday, March 27th. That's this coming Sunday. So looking forward to seeing everybody in class. If you have any questions, let me know. And have a great week.